G'day mate, welcome back to Factorio with me, GD. The mod I actually want to look at today is the Train Supply Manager mod. Now, this is a mod that I looked at originally 2 years ago when it was first released, but it's had a lot of updates, so I thought, look, I'd recap it again. On top of that, I'm actually using it in my current series. I've actually been using it pretty much non-stop for the last 2 years, at least inside community maps, occasionally inside my own playthroughs. But I think the best way to explain this mod is it turns your train network into something more akin to the passive provider and requester chest that we all deal with the logistics bots. So first things first, let's get into the tech. There is one single tech that you need to research. It's 50 red and green packs. Really cheap to get. It unlocks the main 3 components of the Train Supply Manager mod. So that is the supplier train stop. Think of that as like a red passive provider chest. It unlocks the requester chest. Think of that like a blue requester chest. It also unlocks the train requester light, which is really, it interfaces with the requester train stop. It also unlocks the train configuration reader, which is literally as it says on the tin. Place it near within 2 tiles of a fuel stop, and it'll read the rolling stock configuration of the train. So this lets you set up your automated train refueling, which actually comes with the mod. It's one of the things I love about the mod, that any train, as soon as it gets low on fuel, will automatically go to the refueling station, stop off, pick up some fuel, and then continue on with the rest of its life. At the same time, this configuration reader basically lets you read the difference between a single-headed train and a double-headed train. I'm not actually going to be showing that one off at all, but it is there if you choose to run double-headed trains and you want to be able to configure to load your trains with fuel, whether they be a single or a double-headed train. But onto the mod itself, it does, once you've done the research, open up this little GUI that we're going to go through bit by bit. So first thing I need to do is I need to set up basically an iron ore outpost. That's what I'm going to use for my example. So we have an iron ore train. It's going to go to iron outpost 1. It's going to go full cargo. We've all done that before. It's nice and simple. From there, I actually want to set it to go to a supplier train stop. So we've got iron ore 1 supply, which is right here. And then I want to set it to a circuit condition. And we just leave the default circuit condition. The idea is it's going to go off and it's going to get iron ore, and then it's going to drive to that supplier station. Once it arrives at that supplier station, it's the same as putting something into a passive provider chest. So it's there, it's available, it's like you physically put something into one of those passive provider chests. So we're going to set this train off. It's going to fill up. It's going to roll onto this train stop, and then it's going to stop right here. Now, next stuff we need to do is we need to set up the mod so it knows where it can get iron ore from. So we're going to go into this define supply sourcing priorities. Yep. And we're going to set this to be iron ore. I like iron ore for iron ore trains. You can actually set these 2 resource IDs to whatever you want, as long as you know what they are and you configure them the same way all around your map. And then I need to select a supply station where we can find iron ore from. So in my case, it's iron ore 1 supply. So iron ore 1 supply, save. And as you can see, the mod now pops up with iron ore 1 I can get from this train station. I can have multiple train stations, which we will cover later on. We can delete the current list. We can also edit, so we can also change our options here. So when a train comes from iron ore, these 2 resource IDs, we can set it for, empty, full, inactivity, a weight condition, a count of iron ore to be 1,000, 1,500, 2, whatever you decide. So there are lots of options inside the mod for custom trains. If you only want it to pick up or drop off 1,000 iron ore and then keep the rest of the train full, that's perfectly fine. So we can then come up here. So the next thing we need to do is we need to actually request that iron ore somewhere. So I have a decider combinator, because I do want to add a little bit of smarts to it. So I don't want to make sure that I just have a train sitting here all the time when that ore could be used somewhere else. So what I actually want to do is I want to wire in from my buffer boxes, and I want to say, hey, if iron ore is less than 50, we want to output 1 And you need to set a condition. I like using P as in please send me a train. It's nice and simple. Then we want to wire that into the actual train request to stop. So I want to wire from the output of my combinator into this magic train counter. The train counter actually tell me how many trains are scheduled to come to this train stop. So you can actually schedule these up. So if you have an extremely high throughput station, you could have 5 trains already called to be on their way by just setting up your signals a little bit differently. So in my train requester, I need to tell it what to get. So I want it to get iron ore being the same as we set here. And then I want to set it to, hey, if trains on their way are greater than if please send me trains is greater than trains on their way, i.e. this has not enough ore in it, it's going to call in a train. As you can see, we have an output signal of 1M, well, one of these, which is the mod's special combinator symbol for trains on their way. And we can see I've already called in 2 trains. They've both unloaded because we didn't have 50 iron ore. And then as this burns through the iron ore it's available, those 2 trains have disappeared to somewhere important. Oh, they've both gone to get fuel. Okay, like I said, the mod does actually cover automatically refueling the train. So they've both gone to go get more fuel, and what happens is it goes through its order list. So it went to iron ore supply 1, then it went to iron ore requesters 1, being what this station's called, and then because it was low in fuel, it went to fuel stop 1 at the end of its list of orders, and then is going to go back to the iron ore supply. So that's the train just passing below us. It's going to grab more fuel, and then it's going to, once it's filled up with the fuel, filled up with iron ore, it's going to go to iron ore supply, and then can be called straight back to us. So we've set up a very, very simple system with, hey, trains go get ore, trains will then refuel themselves if they need to refuel themselves. If not, they're going to continue in this loop forever. Nice, simple, got things started. So what happens if I happen to have a second iron ore train, for another outpost? So at iron outpost number 2, which also was full, and what happens if I didn't want to park my trains at my outpost? I wanted to park them somewhere else, like halfway between my outpost and my smelter. I went and built a buffer to park iron ore trains nice and close. So we could go to iron ore, full iron ore supply, that one. And again, a circuit condition. And what I can do is I can set up these trains for my second iron ore outpost to, rather than being parked out here, they can come to a halfway station. So we can have all my iron ore trains, rather than sitting at the outposts waiting for me, right out, 10 minutes away from base, I could have a depot just outside the outskirts of my base, or maybe just in front of some of my smelter blocks, and bring the trains and park them halfway to my base so they're ready to go. So we've got our first train up and running. It's already filled up with iron ore. As you can see, this is an outpost that obviously supports way more trains than what my original one did, because it's got 4 boxes filling up with, ore, and then brings the trains up here and it parks them right here. So it's nice, it's close, it's convenient to come into this supply station. But I haven't actually told the mod that I have more iron ore available. So again, we've got iron ore less than 50, send out P1. I need to, again, I want iron ore, so I set up yet another train station. The difference is, I think this train station is important. This is an important train station. So it's like, it's coming into my workshop, my mall, my military build. I don't know. I'd really like this smelter we have here being fed over this smelter. So we can see that there's 47 in there. We've just called another train. You know what? I'd really like this one that's up where I am to be called, to have the trains come to it over priority of this one. So I can actually change the priority system up here, and then again go with please send me a train is greater than that. And we see the light just lit up here. So I've actually called a train, and it's from this base. So this iron ore, this one outpost I've got set up currently, is pulling trains as a higher priority than this train. right? Or this station, which is possibly very important. You know, maybe you have a priority of, hey, look, I want my science to run first because my goal is to make the biggest mega base I possibly can, have as much science as possible, and only if I have excess ore, I then want to run, you know, this build or that build or that, something like that. So I can configure this to prioritize different train stations at the same time. Assuming, you know, I happen to add an extra iron outpost like we just did, I can come into my mod and I can actually say, hey, you know what? You can also get iron from full iron ore supply. And if I click update, it can now see that it's going to grab from 2 different stations. It's also going to prioritize. So as we can see, this train just left. And it's coming here because it's calling from iron ore supply 1. There were no trains there. Then it's going to call from full iron ore supply, being this one. We're going to see one of these trains going to leave and it's going to go here. Nope, it's going to go over here because this one's empty. And one of these trains is going to come up here. So I have now 2 outposts that are sort of load balancing, with this being priority number 1, this being priority number 2. If I don't have enough iron ore, bad luck, this one doesn't get fed. That's perfectly fine. So the next example I have is actually, this time we're using plates. So we've got a train here. It's set to go, same as before, you know, off-site smelting. We're going to iron plate pickup, being this very first station, full cargo. And then it's going to come to iron plate supply with a circuit condition that we can then use in the mod elsewhere. So again, all these trains are going to slide in here. They're going to come up here. They're going to park at this station. We can see that they've automatically been assigned to fuel stop 1, which there's a train right there. You were going to iron outpost 2, so there's a train already come up and has refilled. So again, mod is great for just being able to refuel trains. This is called train stop 1 because it's so it's refueling trains that have 1 locomotive at the front. If I had another train stop and I called this train stop 2, which I could easily put right about here, I could then have trains that were, you know, 2 locomotives long at the front, come and get their fuel there. Same with 3, 4, 5, whatever style of trains you happen to build. Again, same story, just, you know, fuel stop, and then whatever number on the end is the amount of locomotives at the front of the train, at the front of the train. So next up, what happens if I wanted to have like all my iron ore trains go to a depot? I just want them to go to a depot when they're empty and then go to an outpost when the outpost has enough iron ore available for them, fill up with the iron ore, and then again move on to a new depot that's nice and close to my base, ready to be fed back into the smelters. Well, again, same story, train supply manager can do that. So I actually have iron ore depot, circuit condition, so that way the mod can deal with it because these are supplier train stops. And then once the mod picks up that train and then sends it somewhere to go get iron ore, it would then go to full iron ore depot. So again, we go full iron ore depot, circuit condition, that way the mod can then know to grab iron ore from those spots. We can tell this train and it's going to go wrong way around. I boo-booed that one good. Iron ore. Yeah, you're going to go get fuel. Okay. Iron ore empty. Iron ore empty depot. That's the one I wanted with a circuit condition. Thank you. There we go. Unboo-boo that one. Okay. So again, come out to my outpost. We're on outpost number 3. It's train stop iron ore outpost 3. And again, same story. We've got iron ore being loaded in a chest. I've got a constant a decided combinator here saying if iron ore is greater than 50, i.e. there's 50 in the box ready to go, we're going to output a signal. And in this case, I've actually chosen empty cargo wagon iron ore. I need something. I like this one. I find this very, very relevant for my outposts. So I'm going to have it output one of those. And then in here, we're going to source. So I need to source a train stop. We're going to go with iron ore, E for empty. Doesn't matter what you set it to. And we want it to go from iron ore empty depot, save. So we now know iron ore E comes from that particular station. So if I set this to iron ore E, oops. Wrong one. E. Which is iron ore empty depot. We can see that right there. And then again, if I have this is greater than set to 0, which will start it working, but train's on its way, we can see that, well, because I set it to 0, I accidentally called all 3 trains here, but that's perfectly fine. They're going to fail. Edit. We want full update. There we go. So the train's going to fill up. I do have a 5 seconds of inactivity there. I can always come in here, edit the options and say, you know what, turn that off. And then the next train it should be, or it's the next train scheduled to come out. I think it'll be the next train scheduled to come out will be set for full condition only. I forgot to cap you. Which probably means I forgot to cap the next one as well. Yeah, let's use little examples. 50 iron ore is plenty. Okay, so train's going to come here. It's going to fill up with iron ore. It's then going to go out to this outpost, which obviously I forgot to chain signal the stacker. Let's see how long it is before Jetty gets hit by train. Done. Okay, so train's going to sit here. They're going to be filled up with iron ore. Again, I can come into this one. I can edit this one. And I can say, hey, you know what? You can also get iron ore from full iron ore depot update. And because this is now the 3rd priority in the list, this is going to be the 3rd spot it picks up trains from. So we can very, very quickly and easily set up, you know, outpost 1, outpost 2, outpost 3, 4, 5 through a depot. And as these outposts dry up, or as our requests increase, the model actually just automatically take over, you know, which train is delivering stuff where. So my next example I actually have is a little bit different. As you can see, I don't have any of the requested train stop little lights here, because this one is all done with circuit conditions. So what I actually have here is I have a constant combinator, which is going to hook up, which is going to say minus 100 iron plate, i.e. I always want 100 iron plate in this chest. And then I have this arithmetic combinator, which is going to take each being basically everything in that chest, divide it by 50 and output everything, and it's going to feed it into this requester station. So if you remember earlier on, we did set up a iron plate station that we'd actually smelted the iron plate from. And it came from, or it's parked at iron plate supply. So I want to have iron plate supply. We can save that. That's now set up for us. So now we can actually request iron plate. And if I hook up one bit of wire to that, we can see that this is outputting, this is asking for -2 plate. And because I have in here a plate configuration, the train station automatically knows to get iron plate from there. And because I'm requesting -2 here, so we can see the output signal is -2, it's actually automatically requesting 2 trains for us, because our condition was, our condition is, you know, trains on their way has to equal the amount of iron plate. Because that iron plate train is being brought here, the train counter dictates 1 train on the way. At the same time, it tells us what's on that train being iron plate. So we've got -2 being fed out by this system. This is bringing 1 train, i.e. 1 the TMs, and at the same time 1 plate, and then it then equals +2 -2 equals 0. No more trains are called. So again, we can just call out trains very, very quickly. You know, it's already requesting another train because another train is has become available. We can even show. So this is our list of all our supplier train stops. Again, this is mainly used for debugging. Honestly, I don't ever use this one. This one shows any of the requesters. So any of these request train stations I've set up, I can actually get a list of them here. Let's go with Outpost Defense. So that's one I haven't visited yet, which is actually all the way down there. I get a little pop-up of a mini-map. At the same time, I can use this button here to actually edit this one remotely, which we will probably do in a hot minute. We have the supply train stops, which we've already been through. I can have a list of any trains that are at supplier train stops. So this is very, very important. If you know train number 43 has run over you multiple times, but it keeps moving from depot to depot, you can actually bring up this list of current trains. You can then find out where train 43 is and then go nuke the damn thing because it keeps running over your face. Last week we have key trains. These are the next trains to be called. Basically, again, I just don't use it. And then finally we have show outstanding requests. Outstanding requests, you can filter for different things. Unfortunately, all my requests are being met. So, yeah, there's not a lot I can do about it. There is a option. I need a light. I need a rocks out of the way. You can, in these requester lights, especially useful for iron ore outposts, you can actually turn on this hide option so they don't show up in the outstanding request list. Very, very good if you're going to go up to a very, very large base and you're going to have a lot of iron outposts or copper outposts or outposts in general that are basically, you know, filling up as fast as possible, calling a train. They can sit in this list for a very, very long time, especially as your outposts peter out. Lastly, I have, this is like a combat train. So in my case, I'm just filter loading with all sorts of stuff. It's set to go to base repair, followed by base repair supply. And again, circuit condition at the end. And then if we actually go to request a train stops, I have that outpost defense, if you remember, which I need to give some sort of condition to. So I can, through this interface, edit this particular train requester light, and I'm actually going to edit that, and we're going to say, again, this is actually no, I need to supply a source one. So source one is going to be artillery shells, because that seems fitting. And we want base repair supply. So that's been set up remotely. I'm nowhere near that one. And then again, through the mod, we can edit this one. And I can say, hey, you know what? Artillery shell. The only thing I can't really do is I can't set up the other half of it. So there's enable condition. But in blueprints, this will actually copy across perfectly. So let's get rid of all that stuff. And I think I didn't set the light. There we go. Light's been turned off. But as you can see, this is a smarter train station. This is probably the next step up. So I am unloading. Oh, let's try and go through all this smart. So I have a constant combinator. Constant combinator is detecting what I want delivered into this this logistic network. Yes. So it's outputting all of that and also reading the contents of the network off the robot. At the same time, it's also reading the robot statistics. It's feeding them into this combinator, which is subtracting, having everything subtracted by 1, which is also setting the filters on our filter inserter to make sure that we're only outputting the items we want. Same time, I have another constant combinator that's also subtracting from our filter inserter to make sure I don't add any robots into this passive provider box, because I don't actually want robots in the passive provider box, but I do want all the other items listed here. We are sending the filters across to the roboport to actually make sure the robots are inserted into the roboport. Finally, I have, if anything is less than 0, i.e. there's not enough concrete in the box, because I'm requesting 50 concrete and there is obviously 0 concrete in the box. It's going to set that out to a 1p signal, which is then going to come here, and you're stuck because you're loading really slowly because you're set to uncapped. Yeah, go away. Which is then going to recall this train from... it's going to go fuel stop first. Then it's going to go to base repair. And then it's going to go to base repair supply. Oh, there's a queue at the fuel stop. Really? You got your wood? Out. Next. Next. JD should have added more signals. This is a test map. Like, you know, everything got thrown together at last minute. Anyway, look, I'm pretty sure that pretty much covers everything in the Train Supply Manager mod. Like, it is a very, very excellent mod. Like I said, I've been using this for in excess of 2 years. I actually had a pre-release version, and I cannot recommend it anymore. As always, there are links down to the mod down in the description below. At the same time, there's also a link to my Discord. I highly recommend, as many members of my community have actually been using this mod for, like I said, 2 years. We have become sort of tiny little bit of an expert on this particular mod. So again, if you have any problems, I recommend swing by my Discord, jump into general, ask questions. I'm sure somebody there, or even maybe myself, depending on how smart your commentators are and how stupid I am at the time, may even be able to help you. Anyway, with that said, I'm pretty sure that covers this mod. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.